Running 101.
Running 101.
Running 101.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Running 101. I hope everyone's doing well. A quick update from me. I'm training for Berlin, as you might already know. Last week was week 5 of my training block. I won't lie, the heat really got to me and I struggled, but somehow still managed to get the volume done. So not all bad. I should probably take this opportunity and this moment to explain that during your training block, whether that be for a half marathon, a 10K, depending on how you're starting, how you're going about a marathon, most likely with a training block, you will be hit at times with challenges that come at you totally unexpected. And to be honest, you just need to try to work around them as best as you can. And but don't take it to heart and think that all is lost. It's just a minor setback, and nowhere near does that indicate how you will or won't do or perform on race day when it comes. So just keep that in mind. That's some advice over there. Moving on. So today we hit a milestone, as it's not only our 5th episode. Yes, I will call a 5th episode a milestone for Running 101, of course, but we're also going to introduce our first female guest on this platform today. So today's runner began their sports journey during adolescence. Running was part of their journey, but just in the background, not just the primary reason that they were active. Regaining a key interest of running in 2019. Over the years, they've trained for and taken part in various running distances, and as much as their running journey is far from over, it is one of the key outlets that they believe in today and that they depend on, and it's brought structure, discipline into their day-to-day. Asiyah, welcome to Running 101.
Thank you, Nads. It was about time.
Oh no, let's not say it like that. But yeah, I was working on it, so yeah, it's good to finally have you on here. How have things been for you?
Things have been great, thank you. It's the start of the summer holidays for us, and so keeping the children entertained has been my priority. But nevertheless, yes, enjoying the weather, enjoying some time off, and everything's great. Thank you.
So yeah, without wasting any further time, how about we get started? Is that okay with you?
Let's go for it.
Cool, great. So Asiyah, tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure. Where to start? I suppose I live in London.
Mhm.
I moved here almost 15 years ago. I grew up in Spain.
Oh, nice.
I'm half Spanish, half English. Professionally, I practice as an integrative psychotherapist. I work with children, adolescents, and adults. I mainly work long term with most of my clients. On average, I see my clients for 6 months or longer. And I work full time and have a family. So yeah.
Quite a bit there to juggle.
Yeah, quite a bit. But running makes it doable. And I'm able to cope with all my commitments, mostly because of the running. So yeah.
So where did this all start for you? Your love of running, where did that all start?
So I've always had a passion, I think, for sports and endurance athletics. My dad was an avid cyclist. He still is.
Nice.
He's now in his 70s, and
Wow.
yeah, he's got a great bike. He used to cycle competitively, and from what I know, he's cycled across Europe. He's certainly cycled from the UK to Spain. And I remember as a kid secretly walking into his office in our childhood home and looking at his cycling trophies, which were on his antique desk. And I used to admire them in secret. And amongst my group of friends in school, I remember being really that was this great cyclist.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and yeah, my childhood home was in a rural village in the outskirts of Madrid. We were very much surrounded by nature, by mountains. We literally lived in one side of the valley, so it was very hilly, very mountainous. Yeah, I remember coming back home from school in the afternoons and literally just dropping off my bag in the hall and grabbing my mountain bike and going for a ride through the mountains and to the bottom of the village and then coming back up. And I really, really enjoyed that kind of solitude. I grew up as an only child, so I really just enjoyed my own company. And, weekends were spent cycling with my dad to nearby villages. And so it was all about really pushing myself. And in my teenage years, later on, I participated in some local races amongst schools.
We're talking about like local cycling races, right?
No, sorry. So this would be actual running.
Oh, okay.
So my school would participate in like a local sporting running event where schools would compete against each other for running. So I participated in those over the years. So yeah, that's a bit about my background.
Well, it's
there.
a good mix over there. It seems almost like although your dad gave you the inspiration to always be involved in some sort of sport, whether that be cycling, which is something that he was doing quite regularly, which you grew up seeing as well. But your school actually kind of enforced that as well by having these local races and stuff, which you mentioned were running based. So, okay, cool. That's really good. That's a good mix there. And I guess it's when you look back now, you can see how all that really kind of pushed you forward, and you had an early base to be able to set up your foundation, right?
That's right. I think if you're fortunate enough to have a childhood that's exposed to sports, then you should try to make the most out of it.
Okay, let's go a bit further into these running events. I mean, obviously you mentioned, like when I touched base on that during the intro, that running was always there, but mainly you kind of it wasn't the primary exercise that you were carrying out. But later on in life, as in what we're we talking about, 2019, where it became like the primary outlet for yourself. So let's talk about that and shed some light on some of the running events that you've covered over the years too.
Sure. Yeah. My first race, as I recall it, I think was Regent's Park 10K. That was for Cancer Research UK, and that was quite an emotional race for me because I was going through a difficult time, and it made me reflect on the loved ones that I've lost due to cancer, sadly, and it made me really appreciate just being there and being able to fundraise for them.
Right, nice.
And I suppose following on from that, my interest in races peaked, and it's like I discovered a new world. And so after that, I did, I think, A6 10K, then Vitality 10K. I've done that 2-3 times. Battersea 10K, which is often in December. I've done that twice. Saucony, which we just did. I've done the Big Half 3 times. It will be my 4th year in September. So yeah, it's been a great journey. Before signing up to my first race, I was just oblivious to the fact that there are races that happen in London. I suppose because most of them happen in central London, and so you go about your weekends without really realizing that there are competitive races happening in the city. So yeah, it was a great eye opener. A
few of the events you've just mentioned, like I've been part of them myself as well. Vitality, just the once for me. Big Half, just the once as well. But how do you go about training, and how do you fit that in?
So for me, it's so important to be running on a weekly basis or almost a daily basis. I would say I run 4 times a week, Tuesday to Friday, and it kind of becomes the bridge in between my professional life and my personal life. So I managed to squeeze in runs then. I've got a very limited time window, and so I can only run for so long. And so usually I've got an hour and a half in between finishing work and picking up children from school. So that usually gives me time to get changed, then shower after that, and the time in the middle is, maximum 8K I can squeeze in. So yeah, that's how I do it.
So that explains the 10Ks, but what do you do for like the big half, for example? Or is it just you have this pattern in place, or this schedule, or this timetable, sorry, a few words over there, in place that assists with your big half training as well? Because you've done it 3 times, right?
Yeah, I think I squeeze in longer runs. So towards the kind of summer months, spring months before the big half, I start doing long runs on the weekend.
Okay, right.
I'm grateful that I've got family who can help me and support me through that.
Okay, so when there is a longer event coming on, you do factor in the longer run for that as well, building up to the last couple of weeks, months, maybe. Okay, great, good to know. So Asiyah, from going into that, I mean, you can see where I was going to in terms of how you make time for things like that. I just wanted to look at any like social challenges, obstacles that you might have had to overcome.
Yeah, I think as a Muslim woman, I think the biggest obstacle has actually been myself. Fighting judgments against myself. A few years ago, thankfully things have changed, but a few years ago, if you were to participate in a race, you'd most likely be the only hijabi at the event.
When you say yourself, sorry, I will let you continue. Do you kind of mean it's all in the head? Like we just think about it too much sometimes?
I mean, I don't mean to downplay some real stereotypes that exist in our community, but certainly for myself, I was really holding myself to a standard which just didn't fit in with how I want to live my life.
Right.
So I want to be someone who's keen and passionate about involving myself with sports and sporting events. And so for me, it was really fighting myself against judgments that I was putting on myself, like I shouldn't be doing this, or I don't belong here, or this is just for privileged people, whatnot. So having said that, I have sometimes felt misunderstood by some members of our community. But at the same time, I have found a lot of comfort and unity in the Muslim runners community that we have. And being with like-minded people has been the best thing. And I suppose in terms of social challenges, I suppose just motherhood in general comes to mind. Managing a household with a training block is very difficult. And that's especially difficult if you're training for something like a marathon, which requires a huge amount of time and dedication. So hopefully if you have a partner who's supportive of that, it makes all the difference. But not everyone has that. And I most certainly haven't always had that support. So it has been difficult sometimes.
Yeah, no, just to go back over the points that you mentioned, good points, by the way, thank you so much. But the thing is, I mean, when we're fighting judgments, like you mentioned, me only being in the running space for the last 5 years, that's one thing that I've realized, and it's just come to me quite normal, to be honest, that we're all out there. It doesn't matter what background, what culture, everyone has their own space, their own community, everyone fits in. I'm sure there's other people, like you mentioned, that are a little hard on themselves sometimes, and it does take a while to go beyond those obstacles and find your space. But once you do, you're welcomed. You absolutely deserve to be part of those streets, just like everyone else, right? And I think, the other point you mentioned from a family perspective, having completed London, I can totally say that it's the whole family's involved. Whether they're out there training with you, running with you, they're not. But the thing is, it does take a toll on the family all around, I would say. You start feeling it more and more, whether it's mentioned or not. But I can totally understand that level of support that a family can offer. It does go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a privilege to have that support at home. And the thing is, we don't really realize it when we're first getting into running. At least I didn't. Just how much of a commitment it is in terms of time, because you're doing for instance a 10K run at a relative slow pace, maybe an hour 10K run.
Mm.
And then you've got the stretching and the self-care that comes after that, and then the strength training. And it's really, really just really draining. And you need a lot of commitment
Not
in terms
just
of
that, it's time consuming as well, right? So if you've got a family, you really need to prioritize and make time for that because
Mhm.
yeah, it's not easy at the end of the day to factor everything in. You obviously can't just go about doing everything as you normally did and train for the marathon, half marathon, however, whatever the distance is. But yeah,
Mhm.
it does come with its challenges for sure. Speaking of marathons, you mentioned the big halves that you've done 3 times. So going beyond that, where do marathons fall into place for you?
So marathons, my love-hate relationship with marathons. I signed up. I was fortunate enough, alhamdulillah, to have won a ballot place in the London Marathon for 2024.
Wow, a ballot success.
Yeah,
Oh
I
wow.
know. We exist. We're out there.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Okay, let's hear
Yeah,
about it.
yeah. So I was very, very pleased, obviously, as anyone would be, to have won the place. And I started training for it, I think, in November, December 2023. And then in January or February, I can't remember right now, I started feeling this really sharp, kind of acute pain on my left knee.
Right.
And it was completely new to me, seemingly came out of the blue. And sadly, it meant that I had to pause my training. And then when I tried to resume, the pain was just so sharp, I just couldn't run. I couldn't even run 1K
Oh man.
without being in agony. So I sadly had to come to terms with my injury.
What was that
And
like for you? Was that upsetting, emotional?
yeah, it was quite difficult. I think I realized my own fault in it because I wasn't prioritizing strength training at the time
Mm-hmm.
as I should have been, which led to the injury. So it was a huge learning curve, learn through our mistakes. So
As we do, by the way, as most of us do.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, I think I was just placing a lot of strain on my
Yeah.
knees. I also commute to work by bike every day, Monday to Friday, regardless of what the weather is or what the time of the year is. And that's 15K there, 15K back. So that's 30K every day. Plus the marathon training was just too much on my knee. So I had to really prioritize strength training for the next 6 months, really focusing on my calves, on my knees, just general leg strength, but without forgetting the abs, which I think we can sometimes forget to prioritize. So I think in retrospect, I probably focused on my abs more than my legs. A strong core really helps
Mm-hmm.
in the strain on the rest of the
Bring
body.
structure and stability to the legs and stuff too, right? So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's something that I've carried on since then. So I really enjoy doing, Russian twists with heavy kettlebells, and it's made a huge change. And just generally, it has improved my overall running posture and stride. So yeah,
Excellent. That's really good to hear. I mean, you said 6 months of training.
yeah. It was 6 months of no running, just 6 months at the gym. Plus my cycling, which I couldn't give up because I depend on it for my commute. But yeah, it was horrible for any runner out there. Oh no, an injury is like your worst nightmare. You not being able to run with you, me not being able to run. So yeah, it was quite difficult.
Like you mentioned, it's reduced the strain now, and it's helped improve your running posture as well. So, and with the current training that you have in place, the full regular runs that you do, have you got any marathons planned up coming your way?
Yeah, I do. I'll be running the marathon in Malaga in the south of Spain,
Oh, very nice.
in December.
Taking it back home.
Yeah, taking it back home. That will be my first race in Spain, which is, about time because I've never raced in Spain. So it'll be a pleasure to be down south, um, and close to my family. I haven't told my family about it yet, but they'll be pleased that I'm racing very close to home.
What about a revisit to London? I mean, obviously, I guess you you probably deferred, so you're able to run London again at some point.
Sadly, I didn't defer. Sorry, I passed on my bib onto my good friend Shilan, who was in town from Turkey, and she's an avid runner. And she ran the race in my name, essentially, with my bib.
Now that is, oh my God, I can't believe I just heard that. That is so inspirational for you to do. A ballot spot hardly comes naturally. Like it's, I don't know, it's not even a once in a lifetime sort of ratio that you get it. It's admirable what you did, but you just gave it to someone?
I just gave it to someone. She deserved it, and she really enjoyed it. She really, really enjoyed it. She's a great runner. Shout out to Shilan. She's amazing.
Wow, that is, yeah, I'm taken aback by what you just said.
I thought you were going to tell me off for passing on my bib, which I think is
Well, okay. I would have told you off if you still ran it, knowing that you were injured, and that would have required some telling off for what you did. That's admirable, but yes, I'm not the one who creates the rules, so someone else can tell you off for what you did.
hopefully TCS doesn't hear this.
Asiyah, it's really nice to know that you've got this routine in place, you've got your schedule in place, and you know what to do in terms of your when you've got a long run or a long running event coming, how you factor that into your regular routine as well. Also, you've learned from your mistake when it comes to the strength training. You're working on your core at the same time too. So this is quite a good like routine you have going for yourself. So I would now want to hear some advice that you have.
Sure. Yeah, I think the first and most important point perhaps is just understand that it's going to be difficult. It's going to be painful. It's going to take grit. Sometimes you're not going to enjoy it, but change doesn't come easy. And I think you really need to commit to it for the long run. No pun intended. You can trick yourself into this by running regularly. I think that's what I've done to myself. And so your body and your mind will start craving that run. It will crave the endorphins and the dopamine, and it will crave the regulation of cortisol, which is a stress hormone, which we all have. And it will crave that regulation that comes with it. And before you know it, you'll be hooked to it. Absolutely hooked. And that really helps. I would say learn about yourself, learn what pace makes you feel good, what time of the day suits you best, learn about what food suits you best for a long run, learn about your anxieties linked to running. We all have things that make us feel nervous or a little anxious. It could be running slow, it could be seen having to stop while participating in a race, which is like I don't know, some of us hold ourselves to very high standards and we don't allow ourselves to stop at the race. And ultimately, being attuned, paying attention to yourself, you are your biggest gadget. I think as runners, we can become very overly dependent on gear, on smartwatches, on our phones, on pace monitors, whatever. But, ultimately, I believe our brain can be trained to do all of that. I remember a few years ago, I listened to a great podcast by a lady called Courtney DeWalter. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, but she's a great ultramarathon runner in the US, and she's absolutely amazing. And what's curious about her is that she really embraces like a very simple, gadget-free approach to running. She really focuses on enjoying the run, mindfulness, just doing it for the joy, and if you hear
100% for the health and fitness of it, right?
Exactly. And you often see that she talks about leaving her watch at home and just running to stay present. And that really helps her focus on her body's cues. It's all about trusting yourself, listening to your body, listening to how it's coping with the pace that you're putting it through.
So just out of interest, what shoes do you use?
So I use On Cloud Monster 2.
Okay.
I just recently swapped onto them about a month ago. I was kind of complaining that my Hokas were were wearing thin, and considering my previous running knee injury, I thought, I really need to get something that's a little bit more cushiony. And I think I worn through my Hulkaz Match 5. So I went on to try Clifton's, and I found them too cushiony and too hot and just too much of a shoe, basically. And then I tried On Cloud Monster 2
Yep.
at the shop, and I thought they were brilliant.
Okay.
And I'm really enjoying them so far.
Yeah, just to share with everyone, we're not getting any specific credit from on here. Asiyah is literally just telling us exactly what shoes he's tried on, and they work for her. At this point, I'll just share if you are in the market for new shoes, get a gait analysis done first, and that should really help identify exactly what types of feet you have, off the back of which you can also get recommended the right pairs of shoes for you. That was a good ad, wasn't it?
That was a great
I
ad.
should separately record that and send that out. Anyway, okay, let's get back to it. So, one quick question: solo running or group running?
I'm more of a solo runner.
Would this have something to do with you, like you mentioned in the intro, being, I don't know, growing up with your own company?
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a lot to do with that. I think my time is so limited that I don't exactly have the time to be waiting for other people.
Sure.
No offense to all my friends, good friend runners. But I need to be in and out of the gym or in and out of my running shoes wherever I'm running. And sadly, that means that I have to do it on my own terms in terms of time.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I really enjoy the kind of peace and quiet and solitude that comes with a solo run. I know in one of your previous episodes, your guest mentioned that, running solo is kind of like his worst nightmare. Whereas for me, running with other people is my worst nightmare. I love the socializing that comes at the end of a run.
Yeah.
Especially races. We have a great time as from the Muslim runners community. Such a good time. But running itself, I prefer solo.
Yeah, no, so to be honest, I'm a solo runner myself, based somewhere where I have to manage my time effectively. So the best thing is to just get going, just do the warm up, whatever conditioning needs to be done, quick stretch, and just go out, get the mileage done, and head back. So I totally understand from a solo perspective how that might suit you better. It suits me well too.
Yeah.
But having said that, how do you feel in terms of like community runs and run clubs? Have you been able to affiliate yourself much with like a run club, for example?
I haven't. I probably haven't invested the right effort into it.
But again, like you mentioned, it's based on your current schedule, right? So obviously, like if you could, you would.
If I could, I would. But I'm not going to make an excuse and say, I'm not running because I'm not yet affiliated with a group or whatnot. We all need to take accountability for our own selves, and we can't be waiting around to become part of something in order to start something that's important to us. So yeah, having said that, as children are growing older, I would love to make that maybe a bit more of a priority, and discovering some new running groups around me, which I know there are. So yeah, we'll see.
Asiyah, do you participate in your local park run?
I do actually, yeah. So that's on Saturdays as opposed to Sundays. I live in North London, so Ham City is just around the corner to me. And we've got great park runs there on Saturday mornings.
Great. What is your why? You have a good history there in terms of your health and fitness from a very young age, which is great. But over the years, whatever you've learned, all that all together, what gets you back out there?
Yeah, I think there are a few reasons. And I've really focused on kind of consolidating them over the last few years. I'm really thinking about why am I doing this? Because it is a huge toll, as we've said, on time, commitments, health, physical health, knees. So yeah, as I mentioned, I've got an emotionally demanding career. And the way that I manage that and my home life is by running 4 times per week, which really helps me separate those two parts of my life. So I run after I finish work and before I collect the children, as I said, and that works for me. Mondays are a little bit trickier because I usually have meetings late in the afternoon. But otherwise, Tuesday to Friday and the long run on the weekend if I'm training for the big half. Obviously, there's gonna be a rejuggle with the Malaga marathon coming up in December. So we'll have to make that work as a family.
When will your training start for that, by the way?
Now, it needs to start now. We're 5 months away, so that would be something that I start to plan right now.
Sure.
Yeah, and then, I've got responsibilities outside of my professional life as a mother, as a wife. I want to continue to be emotionally available to my family. I want my family to come to me knowing that I'm available to them. I want them to see me relaxed, happy, smiling. And yeah, running helps me with giving them the best version of myself. And I think for any parent out there, your children are really watching, and they watch our every move. Just like I once looked up to my father. I hope our children will now look up to us. And we are creatures of habit, and so they see us going for a run, seeing them do a bar laces, buying gels at the grocery store, and it's all these little habits that they're being exposed to.
It's the small things. We forget about that stuff, don't we? Like you just mentioned, buying the gels and stuff. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely spot on.
Yeah, participating in a race, cheering onto your mom or dad. There's huge core memories for children to take with them. And we have an emerging teenager at home who's beginning to understand what individuality means, what healthy
Good luck
hobbies
with
are,
that.
what pursuing. Yeah, thank you. What pursuing a long-term passion is, and they deserve to see their parents prioritizing their health. Running also gives me the space to just think about things from a different perspective. So separate to my full-time job, I also run a business, which is my private practice. And sometimes it requires problem solving, and sometimes I'll go into a run thinking about how to tackle something, and suddenly mid-run, the answer will just hit me. And sometimes it's an obvious answer, sometimes it surprises me, but I really find that to be a very productive time to kind of process things that I've been thinking about for some time.
No, sure.
And finally, I think on a more existential note, if you will, I want to be on my deathbed one day and know that I absolutely did my best to live a healthy life. And I would like to think that when that time comes, I can tell myself that, this is my ending. And my ending has come because of my fate. And I want to know that I want to know with all certainty that I did my utmost best to preserve my life and my health while I had it, and to make the most out of it. Sadly, I have watched 3 loved ones who were very dear to me pass away, and that really changes you. In 2019, when I watched one of my loved ones die, I made an oath to myself that I would always try my best to stay healthy, and that's how it all started. Yeah.
That's really something strong that you've done there, in terms of how it all started for you, because 2019, that kind of links up perfectly with that promise that you've made to yourself. And it seems like you're doing all the right things, Asiyah, to make sure that you keep that promise for yourself, right? You're actively doing everything that you can, physically and mentally, not just for yourself, but for your family as well. And those are definitely some positive points to take away. And I'm sure that we can all reflect on those for the time to come. And no, thank you so much for sharing all that. it was good to touch base on where your history and what keeps you busy right now. There's a lot going on there, but you're still able to juggle things about in order to prioritize your health and activity. And you join us on the some of these running events from time to time too. So that's really good how you're able to factor that into your regular routine as well. So once again, Asiyah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Naz. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's been so interesting to listen to the previous episodes, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what your next guests have to say.
Looking forward to it myself. Thank you everyone for your time. Continue to follow us. Catch you on the next episode. Take care.